YouTube. How you doing today? I'm doing good. Nice day out. Hot as hell. Chance of rain, you know. It's about the way it is in Florida around this time of the year. You know, their chance of rain is, oh look, it's going to rain for about a half hour to an hour just to get everything wet, and then that'll be the end of it. So I'm still at the before a chance of rain, so it's very possible that this little running around that I got to do could be a wet one. Not that being wet is bad, but it's not quite as fun. Well, it depends on what you're talking about. Anyway, where are we gonna go with this? I have the extra camera out today. Hello. I got some running around to do, so I figured I'd do a little bit of a vlog in between it. And you know, I've been looking around trying to find something good to talk about. Man, you know, everything's been picked apart, talked about. So I think I'm just going to stay with a topic that a lot of other vloggers have talked about. I guess you'll just see my opinion of it. And my opinion is, shit. No, you take it for what it is, man. It's just an opinion. Everybody learns different ways, but to go on the topic that I want to talk about is being a first-time rider or learning how to be a rider. If you've never ridden a bike before, or if you're still trying to decide, should I ride or shouldn't I, is riding motorcycle for me. And you know, you gotta take it for what it is. You're out in the open, in the elements. So if it rains, you're gonna get wet. If it rains hard, it's gonna feel like a bunch of little fucking ding 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 hitting on you. The rain is kind of different with riding too, because you got to slow yourself down some. You got to watch so you're not slipping and sliding, because you know, slipping and sliding in the rain and wiping out would suck ass. But just wiping out even when it's not raining would suck ass. I got fucking shorts on, so talk about really sucking ass. Anyway, let me change lanes so I can concentrate a little bit more on just riding. With riding, it's a feeling you get that's like a zen. It feels so good to be out in the elements. Like if you're riding a 10-speed or like a mountain bike, just imagine that, but you can go very, very fast. So if you enjoy that, you're gonna enjoy riding. You gotta watch other cars. Other cars will end up creeping up on your ass, or they won't see you and then fuck your day all up by running your ass over, running your bike over, and nobody wants that. But, you know, you gotta watch, because these people don't watch for you. I've seen so many different videos of stupid things that cars do. Most of the time it's because they're on their phone, or many times it's because the motorcycle rider decided, you know what, I think I'm going to have a drink or two, and screws up their judgment when they're riding. That's not a good thing, man. It's not a good thing at all. My major rule of thumb is to not drink and drive on a motorcycle. You're not supposed to do it in a car either, but you can get away with a little bit here or there. But on a motorcycle, it's 100 times worse. Your judgment is everything on a motorcycle. You know, because you're constantly watching shit. I mean, just going around a fucking turn, you gotta pay attention with everything. It's not even talking about the other drivers. I mean, you're talking about potholes, you're talking about, oh, there's a 2x4 in the road, you'd run it over with a car, it's like, oh shit, what did I hit? You run it over with a motorcycle, it could be, oh shit, what did I hit? And you're flying in the air and tumbling, or, whatever. I just suggest not to be drinking and riding. It's up to you, but I don't want you to be a statistic like a lot of other people are. A lot of you got a feeling when you're on a bike as it is of being indestructible. I mean, once you start riding, it feels so good, especially going fast. Oh man, I don't do my videos when I'm riding faster because I want to concentrate on riding when I'm going that fast. But you also ain't gonna be able to hear me very well. Plus I start giggling like a little schoolgirl. Anyway, so some of the things that you really got to think about when you're a first-time rider, I'm pissing people off behind me here, is when you first start is the cost. Now, you're going, yeah, well, how much does a bike really cost? Well, it depends. If you're going to buy a used vehicle, you can get a vehicle, a bike, a couple $1,000s, man. I mean, dirt cheap. But you got to want to make sure that the maintenance on it and everything is running good, because, that thing is going to give you your life. You can get away with a beat up piece of shit car real cheap and drive it, and if a fucking wheel falls off, you're going to get out of the car if you're not going as fast, and it's not going to affect you at all. You're riding on a motorcycle and a wheel comes off, you're going to fuck your day all up. You know what I mean? All you got to worry about is your gear. Your gloves, your helmet, your shoes are the three most important things. But you want to be able to protect your back, your arms, your hips, your knees are all also important. When you live in Florida and it's in the high 90s, it's hot as fuck. So I think I'm going to skip that part because I can't do it myself. All I could say is gear is very important, and if you're going to bare minimal it, in my opinion, the shoes, the gloves, and the helmet are the most important stuff. I should have a back brace on because that's something else. I haven't purchased one yet, but I'm working on it. Alright, so other than that, you got your gear. You got your $2,000 motorcycle. And now you want to ride. My buddy says, no problem, man. Just go get your permit. Go for a ride. Okay. One thing you got to know is how to use a shifter. Have you ever driven a standard? Did you ever ride a motorcycle at all? Like when you were younger, maybe hopped on a dirt bike, whatever. If you have, and now let's just say you have, and now you're all set. You're like, look, man, I've ridden a bike before. When I was younger, I got a cheap bike. I got some gear. I'm gonna go for a ride with my buddy. So now you got to decide, is your buddy worthy of actually training you how to ride this bike? What kind of rider is he? Is he a crazy rider? Is he one of them guys that were trained by somebody else that actually said, you know what? Go get the biggest bike you want, because when you go get the biggest bike you want, that way you don't have to buy another one. There's no learning in between. You learn how to ride the big bike and get used to it, and that's it. And it has worked for some. But a lot of people that have had accidents, real bad accidents, are ones that have gone out and said, you know what, I'm going to buy the biggest bike because my buddies all have big bikes, especially Harley riders. So now they got this big heavy ass bike that they're learning how to ride on, that they can't make tight turns on. They're not used to the weight shifting. So it's tough. It's really tough to learn on a big, heavy bike. So what you should be doing is learning on a small bike. See, I said again. You stop it. I'm gonna yell at myself through the camera on the camera. I kind of like the camera because it makes me feel like I'm on TV. Anyway, so you really should start on a small bike, but people don't. So again, let's take you back to that scenario. You got an older bike, you got some gear, your buddy wants to go for a ride, and let's just say he's a decent rider. Now, a short little ride is good. Maybe around the corners, down the street, in a parking lot, back roads at a slower speed, not fucking, hey, let's see what this thing can do type of shit. We're talking 30, 40 miles an hour. And you're going to get used to shifting. You're going to get used to handling the bike that you just got. Figure eights. Figure eights are super important because figure eights are showing how much you can control your bike. I can't emphasize enough that everybody should go through one of them training courses. I know they're a little costly, but if you go through the training course, it'll help you get your license. It'll help you be a safer driver. They'll teach you things that your buddy on his bike is not going to teach you. It'll also make it where when you go to this school, they'll give you a little waiver. And when you go to the DMV, you give them the waiver and they hand you the license. When your buddy shows you, if he didn't show you well enough, when you go to the DMV, this cop is going to be following you. And he's going to make sure that you're doing all the things on this checklist. And if you don't, and this cop just feels like not liking you or whatever, boop, you ain't getting your license yet. You got to stay on your permit. And I'm pretty sure you get 3 turns on when you get a permit on a motorcycle. So, you got to try and whatever. Going to school is very important for riding. I can't emphasize that enough. So being a new rider, you need to think about different things. You're watching your surroundings. You've got to watch for cars. But another thing you want to watch for is to not ride in heavy traffic areas, especially as a new rider. You want to try to keep yourself on an easier area, like side roads and stuff, or back routes. I mean, some back routes are bad because it's like an arch in the road, and they got what they call these snakes that are in the tar. And what it is that, like, say there's cracks in the tar, and then they take this liquid tar shit and they put it on it, and what happens is they keep doing it. Well, when it gets hot, those things get slippery. And when you're riding on a back road like that, sometimes you'll come across those, and you'll come across a lot of them, and it gets a little slick, especially when it's like close to 100 degrees. So you got to slow your speed down. You also got to watch for construction areas. Construction areas, especially up north, will have roads that are cut open, and they're down to the dirt, or they make these grooves. Now these grooves, when they make the grooves, it's tough on a motorcycle because it'll pull you in different directions, and you basically got to ride it out. You know what I mean? You don't want to fight with it or anything. You just sort of let the bike ride itself through. But it is scary when you're first starting to ride, because you're like, what the fuck, you know? But you can do it. I mean, it just takes some practice, you know? And when you're first learning how to ride, I suggest you stay away from that stuff. You know, when you're first learning how to ride, your first things you gotta learn that are the basic is how to stop and how to go and how to turn. Those are the most important things. When you have that down pat, everything else falls into place. I didn't put shifting in there because if you know how to drive a car with shifting, you already know shifting and how important that is. If you're just learning how to drive shifting, then yes, shifting needs to be in there with it. When I was showing Roxy how to ride, she didn't have any experience on how to shift. Totally freaking new to it. So it was like I had to try to explain the shifting rev lines and whereabouts to shift and how important it is to downshift in certain areas and how important it is to get used to going through your progressions of shifting. Shifting is a whole nother video in my opinion, so I'm going to leave that part out for this one. Anyway, I can't stress enough to try to start on a small bike. If you start on a bigger bike, good luck to you. You're making it that much harder on yourself. Sure, you're saving some money later on, but if you buy a smaller bike, I'm not talking tiny, I'm talking 300, 500, you know, 650, whatever. I'm trying to tell you to stay away from stuff over 1,000 to learn on. It's a smarter way of learning how to ride. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that'll start on the 300 and they'll go years and years on this 300. And then you got other people that start on a 300 that are done before the first couple months. And a lot of times they go through it so fast is because their buddies are riding on the 6s and the 1000s and they're taking off on them like dickheads and, you know, not taking into account that this person is just learning how to ride. It's like, dude, just hang out with them, man. Chill out. Be cool. And help this person learn instead of, you know, throwing them to the wolves that quick. You know, it's just not right. Even grass on the fucking road. You fucking wipe you out. Gravel could wipe you out. Sprinklers that are spraying water on a fucking turn. You don't even know what's coming up. Will wipe you out. A deer in the middle of the damn road that you avoid because you fucking don't want to hit it, wipe you out. Motorcycle riding is fun. It's a very zen thing to do. It's also very dangerous. Is motorcycle riding for you?